The Nightingale Conant Corporation is pleased to present Diamond in the Rough by Barry J. Farber. In this program, you'll hear a dynamic mix of live and studio recordings. You'll hear dramatizations of interviews Barry conducted with over 50 luminaries for this program. And you'll also hear exciting excerpts from Barry's radio show featuring high achievers from all walks of life. But first, here's a message from someone who's the epitome of high achievement, sports legend Bruce Jenner. In addition to his numerous athletic feats, Bruce is accomplished in many arenas and is the author of Finding the Champion Within. So here's Bruce with some words about this program and Barry Farber himself.
Hello, everybody. I'm Bruce Jenner, and it is my pleasure to introduce this series to you and our speaker, Barry Farber. Now, I've known Barry for a long time. I originally knew him in his books as he was an author of many best-selling books. Many years ago, read his material, and then one day, the phone rang, and it was Barry Farber himself calling me, wanting to talk to me about personal development. And I thought, well, I was quite flattered. I said I would love to. He came to Los Angeles, and we got together, and let me tell you, it was a great day. I firmly believe in personal development and helping people find themselves in a direction that they can go in life. And when Barry and I spent the day together, it was like two guys on an adrenaline rush. We were both very excited about what we were doing because we really felt like we could help people. Barry asked all the right questions during the interview. He knew what he was doing, and I really knew that we were onto something. Barry's program, Diamond in the Rough, is really a great program. You know, I've listened to a lot of programs that are out there on the market today, and some of them are so philosophical, they're kind of just out there. You don't know quite how to handle it. But Barry's program, let me tell you, it really hits the nail on the head. It's intelligent, it's succinct, it's exactly what you need to take your life to the next level. Because it is so important that we take our goals and what we're trying to accomplish in life and really go for them. Because it's the journey. That's the fun part. I mean, I had a great journey leading up into the Olympic Games and since then in the business world. And it's the journey's the fun part. This program, Diamond in the Rough, gives you the steps that you need to be on in a great journey in life. Well, enough about me and talking. Let's get to the man, Barry Farber.
Looking for an adventure? Want to go on a treasure hunt that in the end will reward you with the most valuable, precious jewel you'll ever find? If you do, keep listening to this program. Before long, you'll find that the treasure has been in your own backyard all along. For that precious stone, that diamond in the rough, waiting for its chance to shine, is you. No matter where you are in life, whether you're a student or a CEO, there are probably some areas of your life that you're unsatisfied with. The purpose of this program is to help you discover and unlock your hidden potential, to get the most out of the one life you have to live, and to love what you do and do what you love. It is possible. 9 out of 10 people, when asked why they go to work every day, answer to pay the bills, to earn the rent money, to put food on the table. All important responsibilities, but nothing to get passionate about. See, I wanted to find out what makes that 10th person want to go to work. See, I know there are people out there, myself included, who love what they do, who do much more than pay the rent and put food on the table, who live with energy, enthusiasm, and passion. Who are these people? Did they start out as the shining diamonds we now see? Or were they once unpolished stones hidden amongst the rubble? How have they been able to succeed where others have failed? Is it in their genes? Is it in their stars? Or is it in their attitudes and their willingness to go that extra mile? And most importantly, is success possible for only a special few, or is it an attainable goal for anyone willing to try? Let's begin to answer those questions with a basic premise. Each of us is a diamond in the rough. No matter where we come from, no matter how unpolished, how imperfect, how deeply buried our potential may be, it is always possible to make that hidden beauty shine through. Those who are successful discover that gem within themselves, mine their own potential, and capitalize on their inner beauty and value. It takes art, skill, and concentrated effort for a person to take a diamond, which comes from the remote depths of the earth, to recognize its potential and to cut and shape it into a precious stone. It also takes art, skill, and concentrated effort to recognize your own potential, which comes from deep within your soul, and cut and shape it into the most rewarding and fulfilling form. There are some people, ordinary people, who have harnessed their incredible potential to help them achieve extraordinary success. Hundreds of these people were interviewed for this program. Not all of them are famous. Not all of them are wealthy. Not all of them have clout, status, or live in the fast lane, yet they all have attained success. The inventor of the Post-it notes we interviewed, everybody thinks he became a billionaire from that. No, 3M did. 3M fostered the millions of dollars of equipment to enable him to find the invention of the Post-it note. Well, I'm sure he got paid nice bonuses, but he doesn't care about money. He says, give me enough to feed my family, to live on, I'm fine, but that's not what motivates them. You'll find out with top achievers in their life, money was a motivator, a financial part. And don't get me wrong, it is a motivator. Okay, I'm not saying it isn't, because if you did, you'd probably walk out quickly. There's nothing more powerful than getting money for something that you put your life into, but it's a byproduct. These people later on found out that they didn't need. How many rooms can we live in? You know, you take people who are making millions of dollars, they don't have, some of them live way beneath their means, because that's not something they need to show off to everybody. They went past that stage already. My father, I say this because he was in education for years. You talk about it, I consider him a great success. He taught in an art school and he loved what he did, and you find out 20 years later, the students are calling him up, thanking him for putting them in the direction of, some of them are writing copy for advertising, whatever. They found a career because he was excited about teaching them. And when he gets calls like that, to me, he's elevated other people's success so much in life. That to me is a success. No, he didn't make millions of dollars being a teacher. You can't do that. But everybody had a different definition of success. Throughout this program, you will hear stories of people who were able to successfully discover and develop their own passion, talents, and gifts, sometimes despite tremendous obstacles. These stories and these high achievers' insights, advice, and suggestions are meant to show that anyone who sets their mind to it can become successful. You'll also hear information from some of the top scientists in the country, neurologists, neuroscientists, psychologists, who are not only top achievers themselves, but who are on the cutting edge of research into how the mind works and how we can help it work more effectively. There are also experts in the field of motivation, self-esteem, and peak performance. All of these people have based their research on studies of hundreds of other successful people. So the coming sessions are filled with the cumulative knowledge of thousands of people interviewed by the experts who were interviewed for this program. I've been involved with sales, marketing, and training for over 20 years. All during that time, I've had mentors I've looked up to who have attained success before me. I've admired and emulated their techniques and applied these techniques to my own career in life. A few years ago, I interviewed over 100 of the most successful salespeople, managers, and entrepreneurs in the country, and put their ideas and techniques together in a program called State-of-the-Art Selling. See, it came obvious while talking with these other sales superstars that the concepts they espoused, setting goals, developing a positive attitude, dealing with failure and rejection, being tenacious, had a much more universal application than selling the most vacuum cleaners or closing the biggest sales. These people were talking about success. Their ideas were not abstract theories developed through years of psychological analysis. They were insights and practical tools developed from years of experience of living in the real world. So my dream was to take it to the next level and share my own experience along with many other successful people from a wide variety of fields and professions, insights and suggestions on living a diamond life. You'll find many different viewpoints in this program. That's because there is no one way to success. If you hear one person's story and don't think his or her ideas will work for you, keep listening. You'll find someone else's ideas will give you the inspiration and motivation you're looking for. Like the people interviewed for this program, you will create your own scenario of success by opening yourself up to the opportunities around you. That's the only sure way to fulfillment and satisfaction, according to Cousin Bruce Morrow. If you've listened to the radio any time since 1959, chances are you've heard the unforgettable voice of this radio Hall of Famer. Besides being a radio personality, an author, and an expert musicologist, Cousin Brucey serves on numerous boards of directors, including Variety, the Children's Charity, and the National Music Foundation. A shy kid who stuttered and stammered, he grew up to be an articulate man of great energy and exuberant personality. And he says one of the things he enjoys most about his life is its multifaceted nature. Here's what he's discovered.
A lot of people make a big error. They put blindfolds on, thinking they're a racehorse. They don't want to use their peripheral vision. But without vision on either side, they're going to get into a lot of trouble. They get specialized in life very quickly. Those are the people who are bored with their work. I've never been bored a day in my life. I look to the left, I turn my head completely around. I want to see what's going on behind me. If there's a tablecloth, I want to look underneath because I want to see what the table is standing on. When the refrigerator closes, I don't trust it. I want to find out if the light is really out. You can never stop looking. The person who stops looking and is satisfied is not really exposing himself to the fullest. Life offers a tremendous amount of trees, and your branches can spread out any way you want. No one can stop you.
In this program, my goal is to expand your vision for life's possibilities. You won't find any magical answers. There is no wizard to grant your wishes. No yellow brick road you can follow that will lead you and all others who walk along it directly to the land of Oz to fame or fortune. Not one of the high achievers interviewed is taking the same path as any other. They do, however, have 10 traits in common, the 10 diamond facets that we'll be discussing in this entire program. First, they have healthy, positive attitudes. They believe that the right attitude can often mean the difference between success and failure. They expect things to turn out well and have confidence in their own abilities to make that happen. They know that you can't eliminate negative thoughts altogether. You can't wish them away or try to fool yourself out of them. Instead of concentrating on subtracting the negative, high achievers find ways to add in and enhance the positive. Second, they create their own opportunities. They welcome problems as opportunities to use their creative energies, and they look upon even the largest of obstacles as challenges to be met and savored. They're not defeated by rejection. They get discouraged and depressed like everybody else, but they quickly bounce back and redouble their effort and resolve. No one wants to fail, but high achievers accept failure as part of life. They know that there's a lesson to be learned in every setback. Third, they transform fear into fuel for success. They know that the best way to handle fear is to face it head on. They reduce their fear with thorough preparation for anything that may happen. And they see their fear as the motivating force, pushing them forward to even better circumstances. Fourth, they're passionate about what they do. I'm not talking about jumping around like a jelly bean. They have confidence inside them. It can be called quiet confidence. You know, it's possible to become famous or wealthy doing something you hate. But does that equal success? No one in this program thinks so. Asked, what is the secret to your success? Every person interviewed answered that they had found something that they loved to do. Some people found their passion very early in life. Others wandered around from here and there until they discovered their life's work. But all of them eventually found vocations they truly loved. And because of that, all of them have gone through life with the enthusiasm and energy that passion produces. Once each person discovered his or her passion in life, it became like a magnet, drawing them inevitably closer to success. Fifth, they put forth the effort it takes. If high achievers desire a particular outcome, they will put everything they have into its realization. They don't expect to be handed anything on a silver platter. They don't even begin a project unless they know they're willing to put in the effort it will take to make it successful. They work hard because they know that nothing worthwhile is ever achieved without effort. Sixth, they mine their brain power. They know that their greatest asset, their mind, is theirs free and clear to develop and put it to best use. And they know that they have the capacity for incredible achievement when they use the powers of their brain to unlock their hidden potential. Seventh, they learn how to learn, and they never stop learning. High achievers are constantly looking to improve themselves. They never assume that just because they've reached some certain level of success, they can stop learning. They might not have a college education or even a high school diploma, but they place a high value on continuing their education. So they study their craft, their industry, their skills, and their hobbies throughout their lives. Out of 900,000 millionaires in this country, the one common trait they all had was they read a lot, they listened to audio programs, they invested in their mind. Even if they didn't graduate high school and they dropped out, they found something they fell in love with, a vocation, and they invested all their time into learning as much as they can, and they became a genius through that. People thought they were a genius just because of all the effort in studying and learning how they learn came beforehand. Eighth, they set compelling goals. They focus on what they want to achieve, establish priorities, and know what they have to do in order to keep moving forward. Their plans are flexible enough to allow for the unexpected, but they always have a specific destination in mind. Goals provide them with purpose and allow them to wake up each morning energized and looking forward to the tasks they know must be accomplished each day. Ninth, they surround themselves with positive role models, wise advisors. They know that the road to success doesn't have to be lonely, that there are people everywhere who are willing to help. They seek out mentors whose wisdom and experience can help them achieve their goals and desires. And they share their ideas with others in the industry, becoming mentors themselves. And 10th, high achievers know the value of serving others. They are grateful for what they've been able to achieve and are happy to help others do the same. They know that by elevating someone else's success, they elevate their own. They're competitive but not cutthroat. They have integrity and compassion and a desire to make a meaningful contribution to their profession, their community, and their world. Many people feel they're not successful because they don't have a God-given talent in a certain area. What they don't realize is that talent is meaningless without the 10 facets we just discussed. They also fail to realize that incorporating these facets into their life is impossible without the 3 Ds: discipline, desire, and dedication. Ask boxing trainer Teddy Atlas about the D for discipline. Atlas has trained many top fighters, including Mike Tyson and Michael Moore, and here's how he evaluates young fighters.
The most important quality that a fighter can have, if I have to pick one, is discipline. We can always develop talent, but you have to understand that talent won't make for anything more than a good show on the heavy bag if the fighter doesn't have the discipline and the emotional control to execute it under pressure. Otherwise, the talent means nothing.
The second D stands for desire, the attitude that says, I'm committed to doing and being my best at all times. This is the attitude that is sought out by people in leadership positions like Lieutenant Colonel Dennis Kremble of the United States Air Force. In order to be an effective leader, Kremble must, of course, maintain his own positive attitude, but as a squadron commander and flight instructor, he must also seek out the best of the best for the defense of our country. When I spoke with him and asked him what he looks for in a future Top Gun, Kremble offered this answer.
One thing I always look for is desire. In many cases, I'll even take desire over talent. I'm looking for a person who wants to do the best he can with the talent he has. If he or she puts forth 100% effort, that's what I want. Now, all of the people that I work with are committed and they're patriotic. They've chosen to make great sacrifices to be in the military. But if I look at one person who's got the talent and another person who's got the desire, I'll take the person who's going to go that extra measure. I'll probably invest more time with that person because I know he's going to go longer and farther in all the things that we need to make a fighter squadron successful.
Discipline and desire are just part of what makes for a champion boxer or a successful squadron. The third D represents dedication, a willingness to do whatever it takes to get the job done. There's a saying that says, successful people do the things that unsuccessful people don't like to do. This could be the motto of Mary Matalin, television commentator and deputy campaign manager for President George Bush during the 1992 campaign. Matalin is always willing to do whatever is necessary to make her campaign successful and her candidate a winner. She's energetic, opinionated, sharp-tongued, and quick-witted, and she has a definite let's-do-it-now attitude toward life. She's been active in campaign and party politics since college, starting at the grassroots level in her native Illinois. In her earliest campaigns, she brought people lunches, made copies, did all the typing, ran errands, even when those weren't her jobs. But for her, it was the only way to learn the business. Here's why.
A lot of kids resent answering the phone. They think it's a meaningless task. But the only way that you understand how the game of politics is played, who the players are, how fast-paced it is, and how to coordinate 50 spinning plates is to answer the phone. And it's not just, hi, this is Mary Matalin's office, can I take a message? During the campaign, there were days where I got 400 calls. The person on the phone has to be able to take care of 50 or 60% of those calls and not bother me with them. It amazes me that nobody wants to do that. Most recent college graduates have been infused with the notion that they can start at mid or top management, that they can go in and be cocky and ask for the moon. It doesn't work that way in politics. The cliché notion that you start out licking envelopes is true. Grunt work is not demeaning. Start out by being the person who always jumps up to get the coffee or says, "I'll run down to the White House to pick up that package." People on the campaign respond to staffers and volunteers who just want to get the job done, and they start giving them more jobs. You've got to put in your time. People feel so unnecessarily, inadvertently slighted or cut out. Who goes to what meeting, which office is where, who's going to get what kind of nameplate. All these things are irrelevant. It's just effort and attitude that count.
See, Mary Madeline is right. Everything you do, every step you take toward your goals serves as an education in achievement. If you approach it with the right mindset, any experience can be a learning experience. That's because opportunities for education are all around us. This belief is echoed by radio personality Cousin Brucey.
A lot of people go to school today and think they're going to assimilate an education. But education is not in the books, not in the professor, not in the moments you spend in the classroom, not in the piece of sheepskin you get. Education doesn't happen to you. It happens with you. School is going on from the moment you wake up in the morning to the moment you take off your shoes and turn out the lights. Education is the development of curiosity and of our own power to take on the world.
Our curiosity, our power to take on the world, doesn't grow unattended. We must constantly feed it, walk it around, keep it exercised. It is learning itself that enriches our environment. When a person who can't read learns to do so, for example, he doesn't just learn to put letters together to make words. He opens up whole new worlds. He increases tremendously not only his opportunities to succeed in the world, but also his ability to make a contribution to it. It's the snowball effect at work. You never know where the one thing you learn today will lead you tomorrow. The most successful people never stop learning. They don't coast once they make it. See, coasting is downhill. You can only go downhill when you coast. You don't go uphill. They don't sit back and say, "This is it. I've made it. There's nothing else to learn." They're constantly refining their understanding of and moving toward their ultimate potential. You've probably heard time and time again that high achievers are different from the rest of us. This program, however, is a study of how much these people are just like everyone else. The differences we see in them can be duplicated by anyone willing to study what they have to say, follow their examples, and then apply their advice and suggestions to their own lives. The sessions that follow are deeper explorations of each of these facets of success. One is not more important than the other. It's the combination of all these elements that is the recipe for peak performance. It's a recipe anyone can follow. After you've listened to each session, complete the action plans in your progress guide to help you get started. They're not difficult, but they can't be completed simply by thinking about them. They require you to take action. Dare yourself to just do it. Your rewards will be greater than you'll ever imagine. Perhaps the greatest reward of all is knowing the ultimate potential you possess deep inside. It's only there that you will find the spirit of a true achiever. Inside ourselves, we hold the energy, the desire, the will to keep going in whatever direction we choose. Inside ourselves, in our thoughts, and in our hearts, we hold the belief that we can achieve our greatest dreams. We just only have to look deep enough. A Hindu legend says that once upon the earth, all people were gods. The people, however, ignored their divine spirits, sinned, and abused their powers. Brahma, who was the god of all gods, sadly decided that this divine spirit should be taken away from all mankind and stored in a place so obscure that no one would ever find it and abuse it again. One of Brahma's gods advised that he'd hide it deep beneath the earth. Brahma disagreed because he said man would eventually dig deep enough to uncover it. Another god suggested that they sink it down to the bottom of the deepest ocean. Brahma again disagreed, saying that eventually man would learn to dive deep enough to discover it. A third god suggested they carry it up to the highest mountaintop. "No," said Brahma, "for someday man will climb even the highest mountain on earth and find again the divine spirit." The other gods were at a loss and had no more suggestions. "There is nowhere else to hide it where man cannot find it," they said. "Yes, there is," sighed Brahma. "We will hide it deep within man himself, because he will never think to look for it there." And ever since then, man has been digging beneath the earth, diving into the ocean and climbing the highest mountains looking for what is hidden deep within himself. Out of all the people, books, programs, tools, and techniques we turn to for help, the greatest resource of all lies within. It is ultimately this inner strength that will see us through to our true diamond potential. We'll begin calling on your inner resources to polish the first diamond facet, your attitude, in the next session. You're about to embark on the adventure of a lifetime, so before we conclude this session, here's a guest from one of my radio shows to offer an inspirational send-off. We have the founder and owner and president of 1-800-Flowers, Jim McCann, with us today to talk about how he took a company in 10 years to $300 million. And he's achieved success by breaking a lot of the rules, too. He's not the typical corporate leader. For example, he's not received an MBA. He did not choose a high-margin industry. And he didn't go where the labor is the cheapest either. He's had over 20 years of experience in business and believes that his training as a social worker in the past has helped him meet the challenges of today. Some idea of just what his background is, too, and his awards. His Entrepreneur of the Year award was given to him by Merrill Lynch and Inc. magazine. He was also received the Retailer of the Year award by Chain Store Executive magazine, and also Advocate of the Year award by Ernst & Young, and many others I could spend all day here with. I'd like to start off with a tip of the week, and I'll make it short and we'll get right into Jim McCann here. It goes like this. It was said by Robert Frost. 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood, and I took the road less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. But I'd like to start out with, after you've seen these past 10 years in building a company to the size you did of 1-800-Flowers, what's your definition of success as you see it, your personal definition?
Well, for me, it's you and I were chatting earlier about all the things that you have going on, all the different businesses that you have your hand in, and how busy you are, and like situation for me. But what we both finished off with was that it was a good situation because we know lots of folks who we've grown up with or we've met in our travels through business, and we come across people all the time who are very, very busy but haven't achieved the success that we have or the good fortune that we have. So the good news is that we're busy with good things, and we choose to be busy because we have a plethora of good things to be involved with. And so my definition for success and the way I measure it in my life is that we can't have 100% fun in the things we do. But if we can get a good ratio, and for me the fun index is in a 95 percentile. That is, 95% of the things that I get to spend my waking hours on are fun. And I don't get as many sleep hours as I should get because I'm involved with so many fun things. So yeah, there's probably 5% of the things in my life that aren't fun. But then I go out and I hire Doberman Pinschers, known as attorneys, who go out and deal with those things, and you send them a check and it's not that painful, But my definition is if you could have a good ratio of fun to not so much fun things in your life, you're very lucky, and I'm extremely fortunate.
I want to read a quote to you, one of my favorite quotes from Charles Swindoll, and it goes like this. The longer I live, the more I realize the impact of attitude on life. Attitude to me is more important than facts. It's more important than the past, than education, than money, than circumstances, than failures, than successes, than what other people think or say or do. It is more important than appearance, giftedness, or skill. It will make or break a company, a church, a home. The remarkable thing is we have a choice every single day regarding the attitude we will embrace for that day. We cannot change our past. We cannot change the inevitable. The only thing we can do is play on the one string we have, and that is our attitude. I am convinced that life is 10% what happens to me and 90% how I react to it. And so it is with you. We are in charge of our attitudes, and that's what this show is about. Norm Miller wrote an excellent book that I went through. It's called Beyond the Norm. It's in all the bookstores, and you'll find it in your Christian bookstores also. A little bit about him. He's CEO of Interstate Batteries, the leading replacement battery manufacturer in North America. And it's the #1 replacement battery in America with $350 million in revenue, a network of 330 distributors and 200,000 dealers across USA and Canada, where he hit a record of 10 million batteries in a 12-month period. He began as a traveling salesperson for Interstate Batteries and worked his way up through the ranks to become the chairman, and with 3 successful decades in Interstate Batteries, and it's a pleasure to have you here. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
It's great to have you in the studio. I wanted to start out just one question, which I think you'll be able to answer and go in depth. And reading through your book, I see you have the tenacity and the belief in what you do, but how do you instill that in others? Maybe for somebody out there who has people they work with and they're frustrated, they've hired anybody they can, and people don't get into their work. How do you turn somebody around like that?
The biggest thing that we've found is that most jobs involve an attitude, because many things, like in our business, it's reasonably simple. and that we have a training process that we can train them. We can teach them the product knowledge, and we can teach them, basis of sales presentation, communication, reading the sales signs, and all those things. But the biggest thing I try to do is, like, I ask them, what do you want to achieve? I ask them, my salespeople, I say, what is it, what do you think it takes to keep your job? What percentage of work do you have to perform in order just to keep your job? What's mediocre? Because usually if you're not mediocre, they're going to move you on. And so most people will say 75, 80%. So I'll say, okay, then what do you think? What's the percentage then of excellence? And they'll say, well, probably 90, 95%. And I said, then what's the difference between 80 and, say, 92%? Well, that's 12 on 80, and 12 on 80 is 15% roughly. So I said, okay, then how do you up your level 15%? You've got to get up in the morning, and you got to be here on time. You got to get dressed. You got to look presentable. You got to go through the efforts. And so who gets all the rewards? The people that are excellent. Who gets the promotions? Who gets the money? Who gets the recognition? Who wins the trips? And the difference between mediocre and excellence is many times just expediting the work you do every day. It doesn't even have to mean more hours. It's just analyzing your day and making it 15% more productive, and all of a sudden you jump from being one of the crowd to being a leader and to be the ones that receive all the things that we all want. So I try to motivate them in that fashion, but I try to do it intellectually. It's say, what are you out here for? What's your objectives? What are you going to have to do? Are you wealthy enough you don't have to work? If you're going to have to work, why not win? Why not enjoy the spoils of being one of the top performers? And it's just common sense.
I love what you're saying right there. I could tell obviously why you went from 250,000 batteries to 10 million. What you just said to me is a lot of companies, the managers need to make their business, their profits, their quota through their people, not for their people. You get people, what you're doing, your questions, you're getting them to talk, to find out what their needs are, have them explain what they need to get to that next level instead of you telling them. They say it, they own it. I like that. Why is it that two people of equal talent and ability don't always achieve equal success? How come people in such diverse areas as athletics, business, industrial supply, publishing, science, television news, and politics can rise above rejection, hardship, and failure? What is the common denominator that puts these people in the category called successful? The strongest link between all these people is summed up in one word: attitude. Attitude is defined as the mental position you take regarding a fact or a state. Suppose you get cut from the basketball team, fired from your job, or turned down for a date. What is your mental position towards these facts? Are you devastated, destroyed, or determined to learn whatever you can from it and move on? See, you're entitled to your emotions. Emotions are neither positive nor negative. It isn't bad to feel fear, anger, or depression. Emotions make us human. But they can have a big negative influence if we let them deter us from moving forward. No one expects that mistakes and disappointments will not have an effect on you. You might be sad, hurt, or depressed. It's what happens to your attitude when you experience these emotions that counts. It's your mental position, your attitude towards any incident, that determines whether it will scar you for life or serve as a lesson and a pathway to other opportunities. The most successful people are able to maintain a positive mental position even when adversity strikes. They allow themselves to experience their emotions, work through them, and then go on with their lives. They know that it's necessary to jump the hurdles to finish the course. But it's sometimes difficult to talk about a positive attitude because it's become so much of a cliche in our society. We believe that people who advocate positive attitudes are obnoxiously perky and possibly oblivious to the tribulations of the real world. See, we don't really believe that positive thinking contributes to success. We believe that those people who achieve are somehow different from us, smarter, richer, luckier. The truth is, it's for the apparent lack of this trait that many a kingdom is lost. That's because nothing can last without a strong foundation. One that starts with a belief in yourself and your ability to be the best you can be in any circumstance. Our minds, our thoughts, our attitudes are the power centers of our lives. In many ways, this is a simple concept, yet its awesome truth is sometimes difficult to grasp. It could be summed up in a phrase I heard on an audio tape by an inspirational man named Earl Nightingale, who read it in a book by Napoleon Hill, who probably got it from someone else. This phrase has changed people's lives, and it has more influence on the way I think about success than any other quote I've ever heard. It is, you become what you think about. Each of us is our own self-fulfilling prophecy. If you believe you're a winner, you are. If you believe you're a loser, you are. That is, until you change your belief. It's your belief that makes the difference. Even the best of our scientists today can't explain exactly how this works, but it does. All of the people interviewed for this program can attest to that. They don't go around saying, I'm so wonderful, I can do whatever I want just because I'm the great, great me. But they believe in their abilities to achieve. They're infused with desire, discipline, and dedication, and appreciate the values of those attributes. Our society often makes it difficult to accept the good things about ourselves. We've been taught that thinking well of ourselves will turn us into conceited egomaniacs. Most of us have a difficult time accepting the praise from others that could help us build our own self-esteem. Beverly Hyman, a renowned management consultant, has some good advice to offer in this area.
A long time ago, someone taught me that when I get a compliment, I shouldn't deny it. I should say thank you and try to feel it. I think that praise strikes to the core in terms of self-esteem, of our own values. When someone is praising us, what's coming into play is what is of value. I know for myself, I want desperately to be praised for certain specific things that I hold dear, that I value. You could praise me all day long about the things I don't value, and it would be meaningless. We all have within us an inner critic, an inner voice, negative self-talk. When someone gives you a compliment, stop. Listen to what they say. Take a deep breath, just like you're inhaling the aroma of a fine wine or soup cooking, and inhale all the way down to your feet. Repeat what they said to you in your own voice. Then, and only then, say thank you.
We often use praise from others to confirm our worth. We must be careful, however, not to empower people to disconfirm us. Just as we need to learn to accept praise, we need to reject criticism that is not constructive or is destructive to our self-esteem. And sometimes that criticism comes from the worst possible source, ourselves. See, I know when I wake up in the morning, the most important part of the day is having the attitude that's positive, that you're excited about what you're doing, that people will mirror that image. See, it always amazes me that my mood can shape the outcome of the entire day. And it's true. I don't expect that having a positive attitude will always make things turn out right, or even that I will like myself 100% of the time. There is never a straight line between where we are now and where we want to be. But a mistake, a failure, or a negative thought is just another bend in the road. Go beyond that bend and you're that much closer to your destination. Give up when you hit a rocky patch and you'll never reach your goal. A study conducted by the Harvard Business School determined that 4 factors are critical to success in business: information, intelligence, skill, and attitude. When these factors were ranked in importance, this particular study found that information, intelligence, and skill combined amounted to 7% of business success, and that attitude amounted to 93%. What is true for business is also true for our lives. Our attitude is overwhelmingly the most important factor to our success. It's often been said that it's our attitude that determines our altitude. High achievers know that a positive attitude can make all the difference between success and failure. They too have negative thoughts and emotions, but they know how to shift their focus away from the self-destructive and onto the strong, the healthy, and the positive. Take, for instance, the attitude of radio personality Bruce Morrow.
Do I have bad days? Of course I have bad days. But then I try to grab myself by the boots and say, now, what can I do to make this right? The thing is to stay strong and keep bouncing back. One of the great secrets in life that I've learned is the feeling and energy of positive action. I believe that worrying about the negative and things that are falling apart is a worthless effort and a destruction of energy. I believe in keeping a positive attitude and saying, that didn't work, now I'm going to make it work, and here's how I'm going to do it. Too many people worry and waste their energy in their life. The flow must continue.
It's that kind of attitude that enables us to make things happen. Stewing in our own negative juices is not a recipe for success. There's a story about a guy who's lying on the ground, moaning and groaning. Somebody walks by and asks, why is he moaning? The guy on the ground says, I'm moaning because I'm laying on a nail. The passerby asks, why don't you get up off the nail? And the guy on the ground says, it doesn't hurt badly enough. If you get tired of not being fulfilled, eventually you'll do something about it. You can't change your situation simply by complaining about it. If you want things to change, you have to take the first step. It sometimes takes a lot of courage to take that first step. The law of physics tries to take over. A body at rest wants to stay at rest. It takes energy to overcome inertia. The only thing that will jumpstart that energy and get it going is attitude. This is not a new discovery. Dr. Norman Vincent Peale's classic book, The Power of Positive Thinking, has been in print for many years. Many other books before and since have espoused the benefits of a positive attitude. One of my favorites, a book that continues to inspire me, is a simple tome written in 1931 by William H. Danforth, the founder of Ralston Purina. In this little book, I Dare You, Danforth lays down this continuing challenge. I want you to start a crusade in your life, to dare to be your best. Once you dare, once you stop drifting with the crowd and face life courageously, life takes on a new significance. New forces take shape within you. New powers harness themselves for your service. These are the powers of positive thinking. It may be cliché, it might sound corny, but it's the power of positive thought turned into positive action that will carry the day. You can't make a change by sitting around and thinking how bad your life is, or by telling yourself how lazy, stupid, or untalented you are. Your life won't change by sharing your misery with others or by listening to other people complain about the negatives in their lives. We can't afford to spend our lives in the company of those who would drag us down. We all know unhappy, unsuccessful people, some with a lot of potential, who do nothing but complain. There are two ways of dealing with these kinds of people. Get rid of them, or just try to help them. The first, getting such people out of your life, sounds harsh, but to stop seeing some people is often the only way to remove their negative influence, and it may be necessary for your own survival. Joe Girard, the world's greatest salesman, according to the Guinness Book of World Records, is adamant about refusing to let others' negative attitudes influence him. Here's how he prevents it.
If my friends want to tell me about negative things, I tell them unless you have something that we both can benefit by, don't tell me, because I don't want to hear it. I don't hang around losers, crybabies, or lazy people. I hang around people who can give me a jolt of positive energy.
It would be great if everyone we knew could give us a jolt of positive energy. However, some of the most negative people we know may be people to whom we're particularly close, people we care about, people we don't wish to simply push out of our lives. Is it possible to keep these people in our lives without catching their negative energy? Sure it is. The next time someone you care about starts complaining, don't commiserate. Think of ways you can help. Say, I understand exactly how you feel. Now let's come up with some ideas and maybe let's get this thing turned around. The guiding principle of a positive attitude, as in every area of life, is the golden rule. If you want positive results from people, you've got to take positive actions toward them. People naturally react according to the way they are treated. If you go out in the world with a positive outlook and are excited to see people, you'll usually get the same back from them. You can't simply sit back and wait for the world to bring excitement to you. As the late great motivational speaker Earl Nightingale used to say, waiting for excitement to come to you is like sitting in front of a fireplace and saying, "Give me heat," without throwing in any wood on the flames. It's not difficult to generate the heat and excitement you need. Mary Kay Ash, founder of Mary Kay Cosmetics, says that her success and that of more than 300,000 salespeople in her organization is based on enthusiasm and attitude. When I spoke with Mary Kay and asked her how she keeps her people motivated and excited, this was her reply.
Let's start with why I chose cosmetics. If you ask me for a common denominator among women, I would have to say it's a lack of belief in their own God-given ability. They don't believe in themselves. They say things like, if I can, and I hope, and maybe. I had to choose a product that I felt women could be enthusiastic about, something they could believe in. They have to believe in what they're selling. So I chose cosmetics, even though I didn't know a thing in the world about cosmetics. But I figured that I could learn. Given a product that really did good things for them, I felt women could be enthusiastic about it. The result has been tremendous because we have a wonderful line of cosmetics that can really change a woman and the way she looks and feels about herself. I often say, I go to bed Elizabeth Taylor and wake up Charles de Gaulle every day. It's so wonderful that you can fix yourself up and make a difference in how you look and feel. Whenever I meet anybody in the elevator or the hall, I say, "Hi, how are you?" If I haven't met them before, they'll say, "Oh, I'm fine, I'm okay." And I say, "No, you're great. Remember that." The next time I meet them and I say, "Hi, how are you?" they say, "I'm great." That enthusiasm helps them to feel better about themselves, and it helps me to feel better as well. The result is that everybody goes around here with smiles on their faces, and everybody is great.
Mary Kay says that one of the most important lessons she's ever learned is to visualize every person you meet as having a sign on their chest that says, "Make me feel important." So do your best to make that happen. Find out what's important to them. Ask them questions. Put yourself in their shoes. In doing research for this program, I wanted to find out how people could learn to be more in tune with each other, how to really know what someone else is thinking. So I went to an expert. For the last 30 years, the amazing Kreskin has intrigued audiences around the world by dramatizing the unusual abilities of the human mind. He's been on more Johnny Carson shows than anybody in history. Kreskin doesn't call himself a mind reader, since that would imply that he could totally penetrate the processes of the human brain. He can, however, occasionally perceive a single thought or a series of simple thoughts. Kreskin believes that the road to success is paved with empathy, learning to think the way other people think. He offers this suggestion.
Listen to the way someone talks. Watch the way they walk. When you're conversing with them, move the way they do. When you finish your meeting, your conversation, your confrontation, walk away and get by yourself. Think about what they said. Put yourself in their shoes, even if you hate them. If you do that, you may start to think, well, now I understand why they feel this way. Maybe next time I'm with them, I'll approach them differently. That's the way you learn to deal with people. If you want to read someone's thoughts, just listen. Forget what you intend to say to them. Now, don't worry about how you're going to react to what they say. The other thing is, people talk to us often when they're not speaking by how they're acting and nodding, or how they respond when you touch them. In our society, we turn our sound so loud we're not learning to pick up the intricacies and the shadows and the shading. I don't care if it's a business meeting, a love affair, or a bond with friends. You've got to learn to tune in. You don't have to take a course in music appreciation to sufficiently tune in to someone else. You can do that without any score at all.
It doesn't take years of hard work or mystical experiences to develop a positive attitude. It takes practice. People react to the way you approach them. If you're annoyed or upset with the world, you'll surely find people who are annoyed and upset with you. If you're warm and open, you'll find people will be that way with you also. When I went to Kreskin's house to interview him, I never met the guy before. He immediately took my hand and started pumping my arm so vigorously, I thought it was going to fall off. But he made me feel he was so interested in me and that he couldn't wait to see how our conversation was going to turn out, that I couldn't help but feel the same way toward him. But you can't sit around and wait for a Kreskin to come along and make you feel good. Even if people don't react the way we like them to, it's our responsibility to maintain a good attitude. I'll give you a story about attitude that comes from New York. There's this gentleman, he's going by the newsstand to pick up his newspaper every day. And he goes with his buddy. Every day. Every week. Every month. Every year. The same one. But the guy who gets the paper from never says hello. He says, "Good morning, how are you?" Gets his paper, and the guy behind the newsstand doesn't say anything. Doesn't acknowledge him. And you ever have somebody, when you say, "Hey, good morning," they don't say anything to you, and you're like, "Hey, I said good morning." You get all upset. What's the matter? Did I do something wrong? You check your zipper. I don't know. Some people, what's with people? They don't say hello to you? So he walked back and forth, and every day, every week, every month, every year for 4 years, the guy, same attitude, never would recognize him or say hello. And his friend would say, "What are you, nuts? Why do you even acknowledge him? Why do you even smile at him and say hello?" You know what his answer was? Because I'm not going to let that person determine how I act for the day. And there's so many people that one customer, one person, one individual who's negative, who complains, ruins the whole day for us. And that's how we act. People are responding to us like a mirror. You too can be proactive and positive with practice. Think about how you start your day. Perhaps you wake up to the clock radio just when the news is coming on. Or you grab the newspaper and read it over breakfast and on the train to work. While it's absolutely necessary to keep up with current affairs, is it absolutely necessary to start the day with visions of a troubled economy, businesses going down the tubes, and the imminent end of the world as we know it? How do you think you're going to perform on a day that starts like that? Imagine instead setting your clock radio 15 minutes earlier so you can focus on the positive things you're going to do for that day. Imagine that you don't turn on the television, but instead use the time to create your own personal images of success and accomplishment. And imagine that rather than picking up a newspaper, you spend just 15 minutes reading something that will give you positive input, whether it's research for a project that means a lot to you, words of spiritual encouragement, or motivational material. How do you think you'll perform on a day that starts like that? Sometimes when I wake up in the morning, I put on a headset and listen to Earl Nightingale or other motivational tapes for 20 minutes or so. It automatically focuses me on the positive and starts my day off with a jump. Did you know our mind is the most receptive 10 minutes before we go to sleep and 10 minutes after we wake up? The amazing Kreskin uses other techniques to get him through the day and the night. He says that our parents had the right idea when they didn't let us read a scary story or see a horror movie late at night because we might have nightmares. For that same reason, we shouldn't use our pre-sleep hours to focus on all the bad things that have happened to us. It may not produce nightmares, but it will certainly have a negative effect. Instead, here's Kreskin's suggested nighttime routine.
Reflect on some of the really constructive gains that were made during the day. Even if it was a really terrible day, reflect on the one gesture, that one comment someone made to you that added a little bit of light to a dark day. Well, now you're programming your unconscious to focus on the positive. In the morning, use rehearsal techniques. See the direction you want to go. Suppose you have a date or a meeting with someone you don't know very well. Well, think about what is positive about that person. What makes you comfortable? Think about how valuable it is to leave them with a positive thought. There's always the possibility that you may never see that person again. Wouldn't it be nice if the scene they have in their mind about you is a positive one? If you impress someone with a positive thought, it'll usually germinate a positive end.
A positive attitude isn't something we're born with. We develop a variety of attitudes as we grow up, some positive, some negative, depending on our environment, our education, and the circumstances of our lives. But one thing for sure is we do become what we think about, what we read, who we surround ourselves with, and all these actions are controllable and shape our attitude. So don't be afraid to change your attitude and actions. In the words of Oliver Wendell Holmes, man's mind stretched to a new idea never goes back to its original dimension. You can continue to stretch your mind towards the positive by completing the 30-day action plan for this session in your progress guide. Remember, a strong positive attitude is the foundation for the next 9 facets of your diamond potential. In Session 3, you'll learn how the right attitude can help you find tremendous opportunity in apparent failure. We all face obstacles and disappointments, but we don't all learn the lessons and grab the opportunities that failure presents. That's the mark of a high achiever, and you'll discover why when we meet again in the next session.